do not enjoy. I just want to get out of there. I want to get out of there. I've had my food. I want to go and have a sleep in the street.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Board, and we're joined as always by Pete Donaldson himself, and I just called myself Chris Board. I give up.
Chris
What am I doing with my life?
yes.
Chris
You're getting
Board.
worse at these intros, and I very much enjoy this kind of brain decline that I'm witnessing. I'm the one who's up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Chris. There's no excuse for you. It's like 2 in the afternoon. Unbelievable.
I just had a big energy jelly. I've got that post like,
Sort of
wow.
big that post. Oh yes, that famous post energy jelly,
Post-energy jelly.
lull that everyone has. Oh, I'm so tired. I've just had an energy jelly. Oh,
I love the way, I've gotten worse at doing the intro, and in 6 months' time, it'll just me going, just
you keep
nonsensical
freestyling.
shit.
You keep forgetting. I reckon. I was thinking about this on the flight home from Kosovo. I was thinking because I knew we were recording today. I was thinking like. For some reason, I can't remember anything in my life, but the intro to this really sticks in my head. But why doesn't it stick in your head? That's what I don't understand. It's confusing.
I don't know. I'm a broken man. It was climbing that 600-metre mountain with Ryotaro did me in. I swear.
Yeah.
I just got back from Fukushima, doing a UFO thing, which I touched on the last episode. It was interesting. On the way back, the train was really busy because it was a national holiday. It was called it was Emperor Day or Emperor Holiday.
Right, okay, yeah.
To celebrate the Emperor. And the train, because it's a 3-day weekend, everyone's on the trains. All the seats were taken. I had to upgrade to there was one seat available, and it was on Grand Class, which is the sort of first class cabin, which I never go on normally because it's extortionate. The only time you go on it is to impress people, or if there's literally not a single other seat left on the train, and that was this. And I got on, and it has about 18 seats in there, so it's quite small. The walls are soundproofed, which is kind of awesome. So it's a silent kind of experience, and then the chairs fully reclined. So you can, if you want to sleep, pretty cool place to do it.
Not a bad way to do it.
Not a bad way to go. But on the left side, it's a row of one seat at a time, and on the right hand side, it's 2 seats. Right, so left of aisle, 1 seat at a time, other 2. On the one across from me, it was a Yakuza boss and his 18-year-old girlfriend. There was a man who he was either acting as a Yakuza boss, Oyabun, or he was one. And he definitely was one. And he was wearing a hoodie. He was a 75-year-old man with a little moustache. What do you call it? Where it's the sort of
pencil
shaved...
moustache.
Oh, what, sorry?
A little pencil moustache. Very thin. Yeah.
He looked very, very stupid. And... He looked, the sunglasses on, he had a hoodie on, these tracksuit bottoms, and his partner was there, and she must have been about 20 or something, and it was just this, and the entire time that I was on the train, it must have been about an hour and a half, he just sort of kept staring at me. They both kept staring at me. I don't know what I'd done, but he was as a sort of
kept looking at his 18-year-old partner. That's why.
Well,
you'd turn around going, "You dirty old man." You dirty old man.
It felt like he was just sort of shocked that I was in this carriage.
Oh, Grand Class,
something.
right? Yeah.
It was a little bit weird.
It's oik.
Yeah, and I felt
maybe he recognised you. Maybe
he
he wasn't a Yakuza boss. He was just a massive Japanese otaku. Maybe he wasn't even from Japan.
True, maybe, but it was just a bit unsettling, just sitting there, feeling the gaze of a Yakuza boss upon me. And again, people will be like, how do you know he's a Yakuza? But trust me, when you meet or see someone from the Yakuza, you instantly know. The way they dress, the way they act, the people who are there with, it's, and I've just watched Tokyo Vice, and he looked like a character straight out of Tokyo Vice.
Well, I was reading I wasn't reading, I was listening to an audiobook of a book about sort of it was like Japanese baseball and Tokyo, and someone who moved to Japan right after the war and just watched the difference, the whole thing changed. This writer who's done a few different books about Japan.
During the economic miracle when Japan flipped
exactly.
over.
And what I liked about it is, I don't think it wasn't him himself, because he probably would have got it right, but every time the person who's reading the audiobook had a Japanese word to say, he really like gave himself a big old run up. I know, like unless you're saying those words quite a lot, it's quite difficult to get out of. But any Japanese word, he would pause slightly and then go blah blah blah, and it would always be instead of like mashita, it'd always be mashita.
No.
Very very big words. And I was also listening to another book as well, which was even worse. About Japan, because I was just like, I wonder what's out there about. I like that part of the world. I wonder if there's any books that I can listen to on a long drive about Japan.
Broad Japan.
And one of them was just hilarious because they used the word kanji quite a lot for obvious reasons in Japan. But they pronounced it kanjai.
No.
It was really discombobulating.
No.
You shouldn't gatekeep and stuff like that. But it did sort of take you out of it, and it did sort of make you think that person didn't necessarily have that much of a handle on the place they were talking about. Because I think it was the reader of the writer. But yeah, kanjai.
That's
going,
fucking shocking.
It took me a long time to sort of figure out what the hell they were talking about. Kanjai. But no, it just bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know if somebody said that. It would just sort of be like, "What you on about? What's kanjai?" There probably is a word. Kanjai.
Yeah, kanjai.
Kangai means to think. So could have.
It would be spelled Jai, wouldn't it? Kanjai. Kanjai.
It reminds me of Lost in Translation. The Scarlett Johansson's partner. There's a scene where he's like, I've got to go to Fukuoka, and he keeps saying Fukuoka. And so whenever I bring up Fukuoka, I always say like, Fukuoka now, to meet the samurai. And that's a British mistake.
Samurai.
Everyone always says samurai. And I did it for a long time, and I hate myself for that. It's samurai, right? And also the sound, the A sound, it's more of a right? Samurai, rather than Sam. It's another British mistake. I don't know if Americans make it as much. But
Watashi wa sta.
Watashi wa sta. Okane kasegu. Korero wa sta. Well, I love that song. I always play it to Natsuki. He finds it so like comical and ridiculous. But yeah. So off to Fukuoka to meet the samurai. Yeah, it's been a good week. As well as having Wacky Weekend, which I got berated for the steak incident. Also finally released my own SIM card, Journey Japan eSIM. And I hate SIM card stuff. Whenever people come to Japan, whenever people come over, they're like, Chris, what SIM card should I get? Chris, what pocket Wi-Fi? And I'm like, I hate it. It's very boring. But also, I had a friend, a YouTuber, come over here last summer, and he was here in the studio, and then we went off for a walk around the city. And the entire time, his like SIM card just wasn't working, and it was very odd. I was like, in a Tokyo that's like the best connected internet, has the best connected internet, why is this happening? And it turns out like there's just lots of dodgy SIM card companies. There's dozens these days, right? And they all email me like, can you promote our SIM? And I'm like, no, boring, I don't care. But I went down a rabbit hole and I realised that I think it's time that we made a SIM card that is actually good, that we can recommend. So we went off, and with my team, we actually went and made one. And it's Journey Japan eSIM. And it's nice and easy. What do you use when you come to Japan?
Well, so
and why isn't it JJ eSIM?
First time I went, I used to use pocket Wi-Fi's, those little hot little bricks, and that was like 10 years ago to about 5 years ago, and that was kind of like that's how it used to work. And then I think I used a physical SIM.
Right.
To move the data around, because your phone started allowing you to select different providers for your data that you use for the phone calls, etc., which is very helpful. And the last few times I've been over, I've just been using different sort of like eSIM, eSIMs.
Yeah.
In fact, I had trouble. This exact problem I had trouble with an eSIM when I was in Japan with you, and I remember we were driving. I think you were driving, or Natsuki was driving through some beautiful Japanese. And I said my eSIM's been absolutely terrible, so I had to find another provider who provided a slightly better product that was just giving me a bit more help. But yeah, sometimes the variability in the quality of eSIMs can be quite dodgy, really.
I was really shocked because yeah, we have really good internet in Japan. There's no two ways about it. And basically what we found out is there's like 2 or 3 big providers, and they sell bandwidth to companies that then create eSIMs and sell to tourists. But like a lot of those companies, they sort of throttle the bandwidth, and it's not very good. It's pretty bad. So we found a company.
If you're wanting to stream or work in any area, I think
well, you couldn't even use
really
your bloody Google Maps. And my friend couldn't even do anything. Read a message.
So I had to find another eSIM company to sort me out. And it was a little bit better, but it wasn't amazing. I remember you at the time saying, "I'm working on an eSIM project." I was like, "Well, give us it then." That's what I'm talking about. Give me the eSIM.
I was actually testing my eSIM at that time, and it was working great. But yeah, we found a company that piggybacks or utilizes NTT Docomo, who's like the best, got the best sort of most wide coverage across Japan. It works brilliantly. I used it for like 3 or 4 weeks before. I'm not going to put my name on something that's rubbish. So I had to test it, and I did. While Connor was smashing my eardrums in Okinawa, while I was filming in Hokkaido or whatever, I was using it every single day, and it worked better than my normal eSIM, my normal SIM card somehow. But anyway, if you come in Japan, Johnny Japan eSIM, jjesim.com, check it out. It's good stuff. It does work. I know some people like pocket Wi-Fi, and I'm not saying they're not great sometimes, but
the batteries never last long enough.
Well, we used pocket Wi-Fi on Journey across Japan because we had like multiple people tethering to it. And all we found was everyone's internet was slow because everyone was tethered to it. And then the battery just died because everyone was using it. So we had to plug it in.
It's very hot as well.
Gets very hot.
The hot pebbles, they get very hot.
And then one of the team just lost it. I just left it in a hotel one day because it's a physical thing. It's just like,
there's our internet gone.
It's just like, screw this. Like, I like having it just in my phone. I like having my phone work. So, yeah, I'm confident that it's good. If you come to Japan, check out Journey Japan eSIM, guys. It does what it said, or does what it says what it does on the tin, or it does what it says on the tin.
Give us the URL again, jjesim.com.
jjesim.com. Yeah.
Because I went to another delicious eSIM story. I went to Kosovo last weekend, and EE, as part of their quite draconian global data sharing program, they offered me the incredible price of, I think it was £15 for 10 megabytes of data.
Jesus, you having a laugh?
10
Oh, man.
10 megabytes of data. Now,
you can download
we all know
a photo.
the modern mobile phone. Honestly, we all know how the modern internet works and stuff. There's just data popping around, flying around, every app demanding little bits of kilobytes of data here and there. That would have lasted half a second. 10 for £15. That's what we're gonna. So that's why I had to eSIM it in the end. It was fine. But yeah, just they roaming, man. It's just such. You'd think that certainly in Japan, it's such a popular destination. Roaming charges are just so draconian and so
it's very outdated.
Old school.
Yeah.
And especially ones that are required to sort of sign up for another sort of package every single day and stuff. That's certainly how it works in some of the mobile networks in the UK. So yeah, I can't recommend getting an all-in-one solution. Enough.
It's just one of those things that makes travel a bit boring, isn't it? Like when I landed a country, and I used some eSIMs in like the UK and Canada, and they the company I chose just didn't work, and I wanted to like throw my phone in the river. It was very annoying. You got to be careful, but yeah, boring stuff. I know, but if you come to Japan, at least if you get the JJ eSIM, you don't have to worry about it working. It just will, and you'll have a wild time. We got a story this week from Kian from Ireland, and I did pronounce that right because Kian has very kindly written how it's pronounced. I thought it was Sean, but yeah, Irish names, complicated stuff.
Yep.
Hello, Chris and Pete. Myself and my brother had the good fortune to visit Japan last August, and despite the intense summer heat, we had a great time eating and drinking up and down the country. One day, after a particularly heavy night of drinking and feeling rather hungover, we decided to visit Himeji Castle. We took the train to Himeji, and then when we emerged from the train station, we saw the castle at the end of a long, straight avenue. I love that view. I shot it in a recent video with Natsuki. One of the coolest stations in Japan. Probably my second favourite station after Fukui, which is the animatronic dinosaurs, is Himeji, because you come out and it's just there, right? While the distance was certainly walkable, we didn't really fancy walking in the midday sun in our fragile and hungover conditions, so we decided to get a taxi. We got in the taxi and indicated to the taxi driver that we wished to go to the castle. However, when we did this, he broke out into hysterical laughter, pointing at the castle and then back to us, saying, "Short distance, fat tourists." Brilliant. As we drove down the avenue, he laughed the whole way, periodically turning to us to say, "Fat tourists," in broken English. My God. We were bemused, as we are not particularly overweight, but probably are by the Japanese standards. We paid the man and thanked him, and went on to have a great day in Himeji. Our egos were a little bruised, but avoiding the walk was worth a little mild teasing about our weight. Have you ever experienced anything like this in your time in Japan? Love the podcast. Kian from Ireland. I have not experienced a taxi driver like that. There are some odd taxi drivers. I remember you and I had one where he had like a pineapple on the dashboard, right? Do you remember? In Corbett?
Yes, yeah.
What was all that about? Was it a pineapple?
It was... Yeah, he had like weird fruit. It was like a plum. I can't remember now. It was like...
On the
I remember
dashboard,
he was...
wasn't
Yeah, and like he made a comment about it looking like a boob. Remember?
Yeah, it was very odd. Yeah,
It's a very strange experience.
it's kind of a cool thing though. Like when you go to a different part of Japan, you get a sense for that place by the taxi drivers, right? For instance, like Sendai, the taxi drivers don't ever talk to you. In Osaka, they're a lot more chatty. In Kanazawa, they're extremely friendly. You know, I'm trying to work out where the worst... I think I had a bad taxi driver in Tottori once who was very grunty. When I was like, I want to go here, he was like, "Rrr." But yeah, you get a feel for a region in Japan based on... So Himeji, they take the piss out of tourists,
Out of people's
apparently.
weights, yeah.
I sort of get it in the sense that the castle is pretty close to the station. It's not really...
Yeah.
A taxi ride is like 90 seconds up the road, so I can see why they might be a bit like... I don't get it, but I'm pretty sure I'll admit, I think I've taken a taxi from Himeji Station to Himeji Castle, so I'm as bad as they are.
It's a little bit of a walk.
It is a bit of a walk, yeah.
It's not a short road. I mean, I think it probably feels shorter because it sort of looms over the horizon. Sort of like the two sides of the road just kind of frame it beautifully. When you get out of the train station. But, yeah, absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I don't feel guilty. If you come to Himeji, don't feel guilty about getting a taxi to the castle.
Yeah.
In fact, do it, and see if you meet this pugnacious driver who will mock your weight, regardless of your weight. We got a story, though, involving quite an interesting story. A ramen shop owner placed a bounty on the heads of somebody... who left negative reviews. This has done the rounds this week. What's going on, Pete? Fill us in. Thrilling stuff.
They're fighting back, the ramen producers of Japan. A country that obviously takes its food very, very seriously. An owner of a ramen shop is really very much fighting back. Toyojiro, a Jiro-style ramen shop in Kyoto, received a 1-star review online. Very unusual for a popular restaurant. The review was from 2 diners complaining about both the food and the service. And instead of taking the criticism on the chin and just sort of going, hey, we've got plenty of, 5-star reviews. We don't need, to worry about this one strange one. No, the owner went absolutely ballistic. He used images from CCTV. He posted photos of the 2 customers online and put up a 100,000 yen bounty, around about 662 quid, for anyone who could identify them.
Jesus.
And if that wasn't enough, he directly threatened them, saying, if you write a stupid review, we'll find you and we'll beat you up.
Oh, my God.
Maybe he's angry about the rice shortage. Yes, he wasn't looking for revenge, apparently. I mean, that him telling you that you're going to beat him up sounds like you're going to be very much into the revenge kind of vibe. But he said they wanted them to return, eat there again, and then post a positive review. If not, he said that he wouldn't forgive them, not even for the sake of the family's safety. Huge backlash ensued. The owner had no choice but to apologise, admitting that he'd gone too far and needed to reflect on his actions. I don't believe he was going to reflect on his actions. But yeah, bad review, threaten your own customers. It's just good stuff. It really is.
It's just like me doing that for Lost Bar or something, isn't it? What do you mean you don't like my cocktails?
Yes,
to be fair,
lovely.
if you don't like the cheese that we serve, I might unleash hell. But
he's a massive importer of cheese. He's a big cheese guy, is Chris Broad.
I'm not surprised this happened at a Jiro ramen shop, though. Do you remember Jiro ramen? We talked about it a few months ago. It's a certain type of ramen.
Right.
There's almost like a cult of sorts. Do you know what it is? Do you remember?
It's like a sort of, isn't it like a really sort of posh form of ramen? Like
It's
a kind
the
of like
complete
artisanal
opposite
version
of what you just said. But yes.
Oh, really? Wow, okay.
So it's aimed at often students have it because it's quite cheap, but it's very hearty. So it's supposed to be like a seriously calorific bowl of ramen, but for a reasonable price. And they're kind of iconic because you'll see they have a yellow shopfront sign. There'll be a big like yellow sign with Jiro written on it. And like the portions are huge. And if you ever saw the monster ramen video I did with Natsuki, that is Jiro ramen. It's basically you've got quite a thick broth. The noodles are like udon; they're very thick, quite yellow, and there's a lot of bean sprouts. They stick like a mountain of bean sprouts on top of the sort of the noodles and the pork, and the soup is very thick and oily and fatty. So the idea is, for like 600 yen to 800 yen, you get a very hearty meal at a reasonable price. And people will queue for ages to get in. But they often move really fast. And one other aspect of Jiro ramen, and it fits this situation well, is the staff are quite crass and rude. And you're not allowed, when you go in, you have to order instantaneously. The food will be delivered to you very quick. And you have to eat it very fast and sort of fuck off. Right, it's all about speed, and I'm not joking.
Yeah.
If you don't order quick, if you don't eat it quick, if you look at your phone, if you do something while you're enjoying your ramen, the staff will berate you and be like, "Hayaku, what are you doing?"
I am absolutely into that. Because I would the thing that makes my heart sing is getting into a restaurant and finding out you got to pay at the till. Like, there is nothing that thrills me more because once I've finished, I want to be right out of there. I cannot be asked. Unless it's like an evening meal or whatever, I can't be asked to wait for somebody to come round just to have the whole kind of, card on machine sort of interaction. Just give me a way of paying either before on those little machines where you get the little receipts, which is the best. Second best is paying at the till. Third best, very much by a huge distance, paying at the table. Do not enjoy. I just want to get out of there. I've had my food. I want to go and have a sleep in the street.
Well, the problem is, I'm all for get in, get out, eat it quick, fuck off. But the problem is, it's a lot of food. The portions are huge, and you have to eat this thing really quick. It is like a food challenge unto itself, and you'll start to sweat halfway through because it is a lot. And I can't physically handle it. And I'm sort of too scared to go in. I've only been in a few times to a Jiro ramen shop, and it is intense. You will get in, you'll have the food put down before you, and you've got to eat it quick. And if you don't eat it quick, the staff will sort of stare at you and give you like the look of death. And it's scary. It's the scariest dining experience in Japan, without hesitation, without question. Absolutely terrifying. What is it with the word Jiro? It reminds me of Jiro Sushi. Remember
Jiro Dreams of Sushi, that guy. Yeah.
The
That's why I thought it was going to be quite artisanal, quite posh, quite high rent, so to speak. But no.
Well, apparently he's terrifying. He will stare at you as you eat your sushi. I don't know if it's still going. It's not as famous as it used to be because it got 3 Michelin stars. 3 Michelin stars, sorry. I say Michelin. People always berate me for that. Michelin. 3 Michelin stars.
Michelin.
And then Obama went there for dinner with Shinzo Abe, and everyone went. And then Jiro decided he didn't really like tourists, I think. And, they made it into like a private club kind of thing where you could only go in if you're a regular or something. I'm not sure, but essentially Jiro stopped dreaming of
Jiro.
sushi and got a bit fed up.
Dreams of crowd management.
Yeah.
Dreams of a pure Japanese restaurant.
So the word Jiro, whether it's ramen or sushi, it inspires great fear, and I can't go in. I wouldn't go in. And also, it just doesn't taste that good. If I was a student, perfect, right? Budget food, brilliant. It's the sort of stuff I would have eaten when I was like 18, 19, 20.
Some bean sprouts down here. Delicious.
They're not that good though, are they, bean sprouts? It's just
They're
a bit...
great. The texture is they go...
The crunchiness is good, but they're very flavourless.
I could eat so many bean sprouts.
Well, get yourself to a ramen jiro where...
Woe betide anybody hanging out with me afterwards.
Well, it's 1,600 calories a bowl, so if you're up to the task, Mr. Dawson, next time you're over, ramen jiro for you. We'll be back in just a moment, guys, with those stories, comments and questions over in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What have we got this week from our listeners? Mr. Dawson, fill us in.
We got a message from Massa. Hello, Chrissy Chris and Pete the Great. My parents have got to Japan for the first time and they're wondering what good souvenirs to buy that can't be purchased from somewhere else. Loyal listener Massa, thank you for your message. The great thing about Japan is that you can go there and you can see stuff that you don't see anywhere else in the world. There is so much Chinese crap that they make that is only consumed in Japan, and that's the most beautiful thing. I always go over and I buy Christmas and birthday cards. I always buy lots of greetings cards because
they are very good, yeah.
Some of the sort of electronic sort of cards and stuff you don't see anywhere else. Japanese writing's usually pretty good, so I get a lot of the old Tanjubi Omadeo cards. They're quite expensive, but they're nice.
I always send them to family back home, and they if I don't send them for their birthday, my family get angry. Like, why didn't you send the magical Japanese card?
Cool cards,
They're pretty. They're so intricately made. They'll have like a little scene of like a cat on a windowsill, and it's 3D. So you open it, and it's sort of like a pop-up card, and there's like a cat with a pond, tatami mats, and a lantern, and then you press a button, and it has like music. It is really. I've never seen cards like this in any other country. It is really good. So get some cards, get yourself some ramen jiro, put it in a bag, take it home with you. What more could you want? Well, you also got a rice cooker. You got a rice cooker once, didn't you?
That's true, yeah. Less portable, that, I would say. I just used it yesterday, actually. I get the Japanese ones, for some reason, are more powerful or better or something like that. But, it depends on what you go for, really, I suppose. But, yeah, a rice cooker's a pretty good gift. But, yeah, anything a little bit sort of transportable. I always come home with, like, loads of gacha, loads of... I got like a Banya who edits this Banya who edits this very video version of the podcast. He brought back a little bath bomb that when you throw in the bath, a wrestler appears. So there's a little plastic wrestler inside.
That's cool.
Which I'm looking forward to using.
Splashy fun time at Mr. Don. You do a podcast, Pete. You can host your side in the bath.
Podcast in the bath. Yeah. I think so. That'd be really cool.
Drop the bath bomb in. That's cool. We got a question from JD who says, "Hello guys. Last fall, autumn, my brother, my girlfriend, and I spent 23 days in Japan and based our trip on the How to Spend 14 Days in Japan itinerary video. I'm now planning a solo trip, and I really want to do the Shimanami Kaido cycle. I like to visit Fukuoka as well and take an overnight ferry boat to Osaka. What else would you recommend in Kyushu or between there and Osaka for a solo traveller?" Mr. Dawson, you've been to Kyushu. What have you done that you recommend?
Done. I mean, you start in Fukuoka and you just go, let me have a look at this map. How's Kyushu? I have a very loud, non-podcast friendly keyboard.
Yeah, I can hear it.
If you ever are podcasting, don't get yourself a really loud mechanical keyboard. You might enjoy how it feels underneath your fingers. But
it sounds like a Second World War typewriter.
It does indeed.
Type this up quick.
It does indeed.
100 men dead.
I think you can't go wrong with a bit of Aso, bit of Beppu, bit of Aso. Visit where I've got my car from in Beppu and get yourself some sort of like noodles cooked in volcano water. I think
I know a lovely little train in Kyushu. A lovely little train. That's not the 7-star train.
In Kyushu.
And a great campsite with steak.
Yeah, well worth watching the old wacky weekend when You abused poor Connor. Kumamoto, like I would sort of stay in the middle sort of thing. You've got your Miyazakis and your Kagashimas and stuff down there, which are pretty good. But if you're not seeking to go too far away from Fukuoka, give yourself a little Kumamoto, Oita, kind of Beppu sort of way. If you want to flirt with a bit of Kyushu, get involved. But Fukuoka,
There's not much there. Oh, well, it's all right.
yeah, it's all right.
Get a Nagasaki. Nagasaki's underrated. That's a beautiful. You haven't been there, have you?
I've been to Nagasaki, yeah, very
Right,
very
right.
briefly. But
I've been to Nagasaki.
I mean, it is right at the end, isn't it? It's right at the end of the country,
is, yeah,
the mainland, so to speak.
It's quite tricky to get there, but it's good vibes.
What's Sasebo like? What's in Sasebo?
A big military base, and it's American naval base, and it's also quite near the Dutch theme park, Huis ten Bosch, which is an experience of sorts. Don't know if I'd recommend it. But I'd say Kagoshima. Kagoshima is the sort of place I always go and then feel like I've not spent enough time there, right? You come out there, the train station, you got the town, the city, and then you've just got this volcano smouldering across the bay, and it is so cool. And, I would love to go back there. Yeah, your sport for choice in Kyushu, it really is the most, in my view, it's the most incredible island in Japan. It's just an amazing place. Best of luck to you, man. Kyle from British Columbia says, hello guys, I was in Japan for my first time just before Christmas. It was an awesome time and I appreciate the content you guys make. I'll be going back to Japan in late November with my family. They love activities and the outdoors, so I was thinking maybe South Japan could be better. Are there any group activities you could think of that would be worth looking into? See the answer to the previous question. I mean, yeah, the Shimanami Kaido cycle, can't go wrong. You can walk the Nakasendo Trail in central Japan. That's one of my favourite things to do. You can't climb up Fuji because it's shut at that point of year, but not that I would recommend that anyway. All of the above and more. Anything you'd recommend, Pete?
I would definitely spend a lot of time in Tokyo because it's a really nice sort of. It's usually not, the weather isn't that bad. It's usually quite warm for that time of year, and it's just a lovely part of the world to sort of spend sort of Christmas in.
Yeah,
shopping, get a bit of food down here. Lovely old job.
Yeah, a bit of food down here. Get some Jura ramen. Just be careful. God help you if you leave a 1-star review. They'll be coming for you.
Review it nicely.
My God, Jesus, terrifying. I'm not going to Jura ramen anytime soon. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming into abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment in the YouTube comments section down below. But for now, guys, have yourself a great few days. We'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad Japan podcast. Bye for now. JJ eSIM, yeah.
JJeSIM.com.
.com.
JJeSIM.com. JJeSIM.com.
You can do the jingle.
JJeSIM.com, yeah.